What's good, YouTube? Flash Speaks back. Another video. Oh, man. Shout out, man, to all new subscribers. All those who have been subscribed. And I appreciate all of the time you taking out of your day to just listen to little old me do, what I do. I wasn't even going to say anything about this, initially, because, like, right now, we're in one of those moments, in particular when it comes to the WNBA, women's sports, and just pretty much any sports right now, besides the NFL, which is about to take off, and I'm about to put a lot of energy into. You got the Caitlin Clark, just phenomenon craze right now, okay? And it's all pretty much just nothing that I've never seen before for a person that a lot of people believe is going to do something. I mean, it happens, right? But it's just, in my opinion, just delusion. It's just a bunch of people in a delusionary state. You can tell by the way they move, what their plans are as far as taking over everything. And you see they'll use any type of apparatus to either defend, protect, any excuse to protect, anything like that, the person that they're admiring. So this is kind of what's happening with Caitlin Clark. Those who know, they see it. And I just been quiet, stepping off of it, because these are types of people that there's nothing you could say to them. They have to experience the losing that is coming, right? The wake-up call is coming. And really, there's nothing you can say to them right now to convince them that that's what's happening. That's what they are. Sometimes talking to them, I feel like Noah. It's about to be a damn flood. You better board this ark, right? No, it's coming. That's how I feel about that. But anyway, Stephen A. Smith here then ticked me off. He's talking about Sheryl Swoops. And right now, one of the most annoying things that this group of people is doing is that they are just completely drawing this line in the sand, okay? And that line is, if you say anything about Caitlin Clark, it had better be positive. It had better be praise. It had better be about lauding and how great she is. She's the greatest, this and that. If you do that, you good with us. The line in the sand is that you say anything remotely critical about Caitlin Clark. Any damn thing. At all. The heck with that. You ain't got to say nothing about Caitlin Clark. Don't even praise the teammates and all of that. If you give someone else credit for something besides Caitlin Clark, you done crossed the line. And this is the environment that is being precipitated about. It is permeated through ESPN. Starting with their head man, Stephen A. Smith, who decides to say a few things about the haters of Caitlin Clark, which is anyone who says anything that falls short of the glory, right? Anything remotely just questionable about her, you're wrong. So this is where Sheryl Swoops falls in. And we're going to listen to what Stephen A. Smith, and I'm going to give you my ideas and my opinions, and you know how we do.
Right here over the digital airways of YouTube and, of course, iHeartRadio. Let me get to some sports items. That's my wheelhouse. I got a few things on my mind, actually. I didn't mention it in my cold open, but I'm going to mention it now, and that's Caitlin Clark herself for the WNBA. Let's get to the WNBA and this sensational rookie from the Indiana Fever who continues to be box office. Clark and the Fever currently lead the WNBA in average game attendance and per game TV viewership. But despite the attendance and viewership records, there seems to be some haterade in the league in regards to Clark, starting with WNBA legend Sheryl Swoops herself.
All right. So Stephen A. Smith starts out about talking about how Caitlin Clark is box office. About how many ticket sales and all of that. Now, this is the one approach and the one appeal that they've made that has been consistent. And it's that Caitlin Clark sells out seats, right? So when someone comes with a particular opening, a cold opening like that, That's what the rest of their discussion is framed after, okay? So it's framed on, firstly, ticket sales. All right, so this is his, when you're making an appeal, this is what he comes with. He says, despite her selling, then, people are hating, okay? So right there, immediately, he takes any attention from anything that has to do with actual basketball, okay? And he says that this girl is box office, despite that. So you should just say, really what Stephen A. Smith is saying is, the proper response to the fact that Caitlin Clark is box office should be that you're just grateful for that and that you have no criticism or anything, and you should only praise her. Why? Because she's bringing in money. He had nothing to say about basketball. Let's just note that first. Just digging into the mind of Stephen A. Smith.
He recently spoke on her podcast, Queens of the Court, and didn't mention the rookie when speaking of Indiana's rise in the standings. Here's what Sheryl Swoops had to say. Look at this quote here. I think the Olympic break really helped Indiana. I'm going to shout out to Lexi Hull. I'm a big Lexi Hull fan. Lexi Hull shot the leather off the ball in their game against Seattle. Kelsey Mitchell is just stroking. She's just shooting the basketball. Aaliyah Boston, almost a triple-double. If Indiana continues to play the way they're playing like this, they too are going to move up in the standings, end quote.
This is it. This is when we find out.
Quick question. Student body math proficiency.
What?
What did we say?
So no Caitlin Clark. Sheryl Swoops. No.
All right, so now Stephen A. Smith, the problem with his quote here, or with her quote, well, she didn't mention Caitlin Clark in the whole thing. She mentioned Lexi Hull, she mentioned Aaliyah Boston, she mentioned Kelsey Mitchell, she mentioned everyone, didn't mention Caitlin Clark. All right, so now, in your criticism, when you're talking about the Indiana Fever, you're not allowed to just not mention Caitlin Clark. Say something negative. You're not allowed to just not mention Caitlin Clark. And this bothers Stephen A. Smith. That Sheryl Swoops, first of all, we need to talk about who Sheryl Swoops is real quick. I think that would be appropriate to do. Sheryl Swoops is a legendary figure in the sport of women's basketball. Okay? The first time I ever saw Sheryl Swoops, it was in 92 or 93, I believe it was, when she was playing in a national championship game against Texas, for Texas Tech, I believe. In the championship game, Sheryl Swoops, as far as her performance in college championship games, scored 47 points in that game. College game, finals, like how Caitlin Clark put the 31 that everyone talks about, right? Championship game, Sheryl Swoops scored 47 points, okay? Was obviously MVP of that. The team won, okay? That's who you're talking about in college. Now, people could say, well, if you played 4 whole years and cumulatively averaged all these points and all of that, you are the best all time. For me, I look at moments like that and I see the greatest player performing at the greatest time in the greatest manner is what I put into college players. So like for me, Sheryl Swoops would be a better college player than a Caitlin Clark for me. All right, now let's go to the WNBA. She was an Olympian for a while. Then when the WNBA came about, Sheryl Swoops, one of its earliest, brightest stars, who has won multiple MVPs and multiple Defensive Player of the Year honors. Now, I know one is 3, one is 4. I haven't looked at her stats just recently, but she has 3 of each, and 4 one of them. Okay. MVPs 3, Defensive Player of the Year is 3, and maybe 1 extra Defensive Player of the Year. 4 championships. Okay, so she's won in college and she won there. I just think it's very important that we understand what we're talking about when we're talking about Sheryl Swoops. Okay, when you've accomplished what you've accomplished in basketball, like Sheryl Swoops has, personally, she can say whatever the hell she wants about whoever the hell she wants when it comes to basketball, because she's Sheryl MF and Swoops. That's how I start off from the beginning, okay? maybe Caitlin Clark isn't her type of player. Maybe she's not that impressed like you are. As a player, maybe she sees things you don't see. And if not, let's say she is just hating, whatever that means. Like, I don't see where she lied in anything she said, with the exception of, like, the hyperbole she used down on Gil's Arena, but everybody on Gil's Arena uses hyperbole like that, right? That's just Sheryl Swoops. But here, just because she did not mention Caitlin Clark, Stephen A. Smith, the head guy at ESPN, feels like he got to address her.
No, Caitlin Clark. Respectfully, Sheryl Swoops, you have any idea how that makes you look? You have any idea how that serves to stain any kind of critique of Caitlin Clark? Because that gives fodder to those who believe she...
All right, now, before we get into this here, Stephen A. Smith asked her, do you understand how that makes you look? Stephen A. Smith is a guy who said that the greatest Utah Jazz player of all time was Donovan Mitchell, simply after seeing Donovan Mitchell score like 40 points in a couple of games. That's after a couple of games is what he declared. Donovan Mitchell is better than John Stockton, Karl Malone, who've been to the finals, okay? Yeah. Pistol Pete Maravich, all the Utah Jazz. This is what Stephen A. Smith said. He wasn't concerned about how that made him look. However, if Sheryl Swoops just doesn't mention Caitlin Clark, he thinks she should be concerned about how she looked. This how it makes her look, even though the fact she got 4 damn championships, 4 MVPs, Defensive Players of the Years, and all of that. A resume that we can only hope Caitlin Clark has in her whole stint. Talking about both sides of the ball. I don't think she's... Matter of fact, I know she'll never put together a resume like that. Come on, Stephen A. Stop it.
Being hated on and ostracized to some degree. Do you realize that, Sheryl Swoops, you're insane to do that? Let me tell you.
Wow. So Stephen A. Smith decides, I'm going to go out there and try to show that Sheryl Swoops looks insane to these people. Because let's be for real. Who does she look insane to? She don't look insane to me. She looks like Sheryl Swoops not impressed. That's what it looks like to me. Right? She ain't got to go out there and praise Caitlin Clark ever for nothing if she just don't see anything that she needs to praise. And there were times when she said Caitlin Clark's best attribute is the passing. She's praised the passing at other times. Y'all don't bring that shit up though. Y'all just only want to talk about what y'all want to talk about. Little slights in here. Don't nobody got to kiss Caitlin Clark's ass. If y'all don't like that, that's just too damn bad. Grow up. Y'all the ones that need more security. Like, y'all need all of this validation for Caitlin Clark. For what? You think she's a beast, then just prove everybody wrong. All this extra stuff, though, you got to ostracize everybody who ain't impressed. That makes y'all look crazy to me. But anyway, I digress.
Why you're insane to do that. Because Sheryl Swoops, you're one of the greatest players ever in the history of basketball. That's why. See, you won a championship in college at Texas Tech. You won 3 Olympic gold medals.
Well, yeah, exactly. And your black ass didn't, which is why you probably need to listen to her. That's the only argument you made with that, sir.
You won 4 WNBA championships. You know basketball.
Exactly. This is what we're saying. She knows basketball, Stephen A. Damn, Stephen A. just basically just broke it down his damn self. I ain't even had to explain nothing to him. Yeah.
You know basketball better than me. You know basketball than any of the pundits. You know basketball better than most of the men that play basketball.
All right, so, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. All right, we're in agreement, Stephen A. We're in agreement.
There's no way in hell you just accidentally left Caitlin Clark's name out of that soliloquy that you dropped about the Indiana Fever. Stop it. You know.
Hold up. What if she didn't accidentally leave out? What if she left Caitlin Clark the fuck out on purpose? Just like when Caitlin Clark wins and they leave out Aaliyah Boston on purpose. Just like when the Fever win and Kelsey Mitchell scored the most points and they leave Kelsey Mitchell out of the damn, you know what I mean? Fucking articles and comments and Terry and different places where people are speaking about the Indiana Fever and they leave those other players out. Oh, but oh my God, you left out the mistake. Yeah, this one time, man, you left out the article, you know. Oh, we about to have an earthquake. Come on, Stephen A, man. The only person that's making themselves look bad is you, bruh. Let Sheryl Swoops have her opinion. And you can have yours if y'all want to predicate y'all whole existence on Dick Rod and Caitlin Clark. That's your business. See, Stephen A. Smith is the type of guy, man. I already see what it is. He all about the bag. When he started his opening, he was talking about the bag. That's all he's thinking about. Like, Sheryl, man, we got somebody right here that's going to get us all paid. This little Caitlin Clark chick. Why are you talking about her? You are trying to mess up the bag. That's all Stephen A. Smith is doing, y'all. He doesn't care one way or the other.
Oh, that stop it. And then y'all wonder what happened. See, remember when I was on the air on ESPN and I got into it with Monica McNutt? Stephen A., I'm talking to you, Stephen.
Yeah, and I recall you lost that debate. You looked bad in that one.
If you had promoted the WNBA more, if you had talked about it more, they would have played more games. Like I had the power to go up to ESPN and say, directors and producers and cameramen and everybody else flocked to the WNBA at the time when it wasn't nearly as popular as it was today.
That sounds stupid. The whole point that she's making is that you play a role in helping make the sport popular because sports media, that's the purpose it serves to go along with sports. The purpose of sports media is to drive the interests of sports. So Monica McNutt was making a fundamental statement there that is known by you yourself. However, you want to act stupid, and maybe you don't know what it's about, or maybe the business is so corrupt that it no longer is about that. Is that what it is, Stephen A. Smith? So apropos that she's supposed to know, we ain't really out here promoting sports. No, we're out here just promoting bullshit. Is that what you're saying, Stephen A? Because when Monica, you're acting like you're appalled that Monica McNutt would suggest that as a sports media conduit that you would be out here promoting the sport. Like, what is going on? Am I lost? Am I in the Twilight Zone?
That's what Monica McNutt accused me of, but it's okay. It's just a disagreement. See, y'all...
No, it ain't no disagreement. You are just too much of a... You don't have enough humility to accept that she was right. That a younger colleague of yours that you felt like you helped was actually right. She's right. You weren't talking about the WNBA, and all you had to do was just be like, yeah, you're right. We don't. We only talk about what everybody else is talking about first anyway. That's the way you make money, right? We don't. It's not. It's supposed to be the other way around. It isn't.
Act like this some buzz and it's a problem. No, it's a debate show. She has her opinion, I have mine. I happen to believe she was wrong. I happen to believe I was right. And I happen to believe the facts have shown that I was right. How was the attendance for Team USA in the Olympics? What would it have been like if Caitlin Clark was playing on that team?
It would have just had been the numbers that they are, along with Caitlin Clark fans watching. I think everybody knows that. And then the numbers actually ended up being all right because as soon as the damn U.S. Olympics team were possibly going to lose that game against France, the numbers jumped up to over 10 million because the Caitlin Clark hater fans tuned in at that time. So no, it all went fine. Though let's listen to this BS he about to say. Because they ended up tuning in anyway, hating on the damn U.S. team.
Remember the first game? Look at this right here. National broadcast viewership. What are we talking about here? 1,000, what is that? 1.219? Is that the number? And the game afterwards got 485,000 views. So the Fever in their game against the Minnesota Lynx was 1.219 million. On Ion. On Ion!
Why doesn't everyone between 45 and 65 claim this $250,000?
Stephen A. Smith, we all know people love to watch Caitlin Clark. These delusional people who believe that she's the greatest women's basketball of all time, who think that shooting logo threes is just the way to play basketball. Those same people, we know they love to watch Caitlin Clark, Stephen. Ain't nobody denies that. But what we're saying is you don't have to kiss their ass just because they band together to watch Caitlin Clark. And that also, along with that, if they're not watching the other teams as well, they're not really helping the game, but they're helping one team. That's what they're doing. Now, what you can hope they can do is maybe they will create a legion of fans who are against them and then indirectly create fans that way. Maybe that can happen. But just watching Caitlin Clark in and of itself does not provide enough staying power, which is what any conglomerate business has to have in mind. They have to think about staying power. Every single player on a basketball court is one injury away from being not there. We do understand that. And then despite that, let's say they have a long career. They will retire at some point. So everything can't be just on one player and just one team. So I don't know how effective they really are unless the WNBA knows how to capitalize it in a way where it grows the other teams. Anyway.
The follow game didn't even get half the ratings. Go ahead and look. Everywhere you turn, Indiana Fever is breaking records. All Sheryl Swoops did was validate all the speculation that there's folks hating on Caitlin Clark. That's all she did.
Why would that validate it? All you're bringing up is the fact that Caitlin Clark sells seats. You're not talking about basketball. So Sheryl Swoops is not allowed to talk about or not talk about somebody who's just selling out arenas. This is the only argument Stephen A is making. You realize how weak this is?
Because to know basketball like Sheryl Swoops does, to be as accomplished as she is, to be the Hall of Famer that she is, all accolades that are well-deserved. And I'm certainly not attacking Sheryl Swoops the person because I think she's a wonderful person. She's certainly always been nothing but class and nice to me. I'm only addressing a point. How do you talk about the Indiana Fever and mention a multitude of players and not one of them is Caitlin Clark, who, by the way, is a rookie?
Well, because oftentimes, usually, like when they win, it's not just Caitlin having numbers. There's also other players having numbers. And oftentimes, they'll mention Caitlin Clark and not mention the rest of the players. Matter of fact, when they had the All-Star game, Caitlin Clark scored 4 points, sir, and just 10 assists, right? 4 points in the All-Star game. And you know, they said that Caitlin Clark led the team to victory. Okay, when everyone knows it was Enrique, everyone knows that it was Alicia Gray had more points, Kelsey Mitchell had more points to Caitlin Clark in that game. Angel Reese, who's not even a scorer, quote unquote, had more points in the game than her. John Quill Jones, a lot of people did. But Caitlin Clark was mentioned, okay? So why don't you have the same energy for the other players? Oh, I get it. It's because they're not selling out seats. I get it, Stephen A. Smith. You're not really about basketball, at least women's basketball. You're about the money. I get it. So because Caitlin Clark is bringing in this money, everybody else should kiss her ass, which shows that really at the end of the day, Stephen A. Smith, you are a servant of the money, which we already know.
He's leading the league in assists. How do you do that? How do you do that? I told y'all that. I've argued.
She doesn't have to mention her. She can mention, because from one perspective, Lexi Hall was the hero of that game. If Lexi Hall doesn't do what she does, I don't know that they win that game. I don't know if they win that game if Lexi Hall doesn't go off. And that's the truth. So one could actually write that was a Lexi Hall game.
Argued with the great Andrea Carter, outstanding analyst for ESPN, right here on this podcast. I've argued with Janae Ogumake, who's an outstanding basketball analyst. The two of them together, oh my God, that's an A team. No doubt about it. Nothing but love for both of them. And Monica McNutt, one of the preeminent voices of the New York Knicks, and what she's doing with her career. They know they got my support, all love. But I'm waiting for you to say I was right. Caitlin Clark can ball.
You were right about what, Stephen A. Smith? What were you right about? You don't know what the numbers would have been. The only way that you could be objectively right in a situation like that is if you have Caitlin Clark at the damn Olympics, and you have and you get data from that, and you have the women at the Olympics without Caitlin Clark and get the data from that. But the problem with the whole argument is, though it may have been more, The women's team didn't fail. It wasn't a failure going without her. Nobody would argue that more people will watch because those Caitlin Clark people don't watch anyone else. Like, literally, the only thing it proved that Caitlin Clark fans only watch Caitlin Clark. They don't watch the WNBA. That's the only thing you proved. Like, what? Oh, God, this dude gets on my nerves because he's so petty and girly about this. And he's not even right. Didn't even prove anything. Everybody knows Caitlin Clark fans only watch Caitlin Clark. That's the only thing that was proved.
She should have been on Team USA because you needed the marketing buzz. I didn't say she was better than all 12 players that were on the team instead of her. Even though when they almost lost to France, I was getting nervous. Diana Taurasi wasn't on the court. I said, you need somebody that could shoot. And then Copper showed up and was doing her thing, and Ezra Wilson did her thing, and I was good. But what I'm saying is, if you remember, their first game they had about...
You say you need the marketing buzz. I don't get it. Caitlin Clark fans already are a part of that market. You're talking about a particular market that you think will watch with Caitlin Clark that didn't watch. You're not going to make new fans just because Caitlin Clark is on the fucking court. What are we talking about? It's going to be the people that already are fans coming there. What marketing buzz? None of this argument is making any sense.
13,000 fans.
At Sierra, Jack discovered great pickleball gear at incredible prices.
That's yours.
Which led to another discovery.
Somebody else had 15. Everybody else had over 20,000 plus. You think that would happen if Caitlin Clark was on that team? You think that would happen if Angel Reese was on that team?
Actually, yeah. Because you're in France. And unless you're making the argument that French people who are walking around France, who are going to see China, going to see all these other places, I'm assuming Chinese people are Chinese contingency there or whatever. You're saying that people in France are going to get up and go to the game because Caitlin Clark is on the team or Angel Reese is on the team. No, I don't believe that. I think that sounds absurd, actually.
But especially Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is coming. Some people think she's already arrived. I don't. I think she's going to be even better. And I think that what she has done for women's basketball, especially in this country, has been phenomenal. There is no woman, no matter how great you were as a player, Sheryl Swoops, there is no woman who should negate mentioning Caitlin Clark and what Caitlin Clark is doing for the game. I know the Monica McNutts and others were getting very, very frustrated at all of the buzz that was going in her direction, not to hate on Caitlin Clark in any way, because I'm sure Monica McNutt does not feel that way. She just knows that there were people on the ground pounding the pavement that were doing so much for women's basketball everywhere that deserved their praise. She was absolutely right in saying that. We don't disagree, but that's utopia. Reality is it didn't happen to this level until Caitlin Clark showed up.
All right. Listen, I don't even feel like digging into all of that. Like, that's a bunch of stupid shit, bitch-ass shit, and stuff that nobody's actually arguing. People who want to talk actual basketball want to talk basketball. Like, y'all want to keep talking about numbers and sales and all of that. You want to kiss Caitlin Clark's fan base's ass. That's your business. I don't care nothing about it. The bottom line is this. Caitlin Clark is a client of Nike. ESPN is one of the companies that Nike sponsors big time. All right. Stephen A. Smith is the head guy at ESPN. So he's always going to be pushing the Caitlin Clark thing. And he's doing it for money. And so the basis of his argument is just going to be a money-based argument. And really, I don't really care about that as a person, as a spectator. They're not going to give me not a dime of it. Okay, none of that is going to pay a bill of mine, how much money Caitlin Clark make or WNBA or whatever. I just want to see good basketball. So that is always the basis of where I'm coming from. So from here, I'm just going to stop the Stephen A. Smith thing because I don't think he's getting anywhere. I don't think there's anything else fruitful that he says after this. So that's just how I feel about that. Sheryl Swoops can say whatever the hell she wants, and that's all there is to it. Peace out.